Abby, who's getting ready to go ahead and join us today. Welcome to New Life, where we are embracing our new life and doing the best that we can, okay? So come and join us, like, with this whole journey. And today we have Miss Abby, who's going to come back. And one of the things, and the reason why actually she's getting ready to join us is because we were having a conversation just now about Miss Abby is getting ready to do a podcast, which she talks about the youth. So in this podcast that she's talking about, that she's gonna start, it's New Life Youth. And so Miss Abby, y'all.
Hey, y'all.
So she was just asking, like, what does that look like? And I was explaining that a lot of times, even though as parents we're telling you, hey, just stay focused. Even though you're seeing your parents go through this particular journey, like, stay focused. How do you focus? So, Miss Abby, what were you thinking about?
I was just saying it's impossible to focus. Not impossible, it's extremely difficult to focus.
It is hard to focus. And it's like someone is telling you, oh, don't stress out. Don't worry. You ain't got to worry about things. How do you not stress out and how do you not worry? That's the thing.
It's inevitable to stress out when you're a dad or you're a parent or your beloved ones on the brink of death. That's all you can think about. Yeah. You kind of have to imagine. You go through this process of imagining if when your dad died or when your parent. For me, because it was my dad. What life would be like. I'm a girl. One day I want to get married. And so I had to imagine, me walking down the aisle by myself, or my kids not going to have a grandfather. I'm not going to have my dad anymore. So I was, emotional for a little bit. For a while. I fell into a deep depression. Just secretly, because I couldn't let anybody know until, my grandmother one day, she called it out. I was on the phone with her one day, and she was like, Ebony, God told me to tell you, baby, hang on in there. Stay. Hang on. He's right there with me. I just broke down and cried because it was true. I was barely hanging on. Dealing with my own emotions, trying to be strong. I want to be a nuisance, not be a pest, because, my dad needed strength to fight for his life. Really fight for his life. So I was just doing what I thought I knew how to do. I was 18, 19, going through this. I was praying, okay, God, I got it. If I had it, I wouldn't have needed God. So it was kind of a mess. I kind of went in not a spiral, because I'm not a wild child, but I kind of just shut off again, stay to myself, be quiet, not talk about my emotions. I will eat to comfort myself. And last year, I was one of my biggest weights. I looked at a picture this year. I was huge from how I was eating and dealing with, the situation. It wasn't the best way. But it was the best way I knew how to deal with it.
I think that, and again, new lifers, just to identify a few things, is that we have to have coping tools. So what Abby just shared with you was her coping tool. Like she said that she ate because she found a comfort in it. So when you're talking about trying to identify how to cope, of course, for someone like me, I'm going to say, listen, it's best that you have a conversation with somebody. It's best that we consider talking to somebody. But of course, at that time, me being in a caregiver role, I'm trying to make sure that, hey, we got to keep this thing going. Like, no one had, it's sad to say, but you don't have time to really think about your own self. Although we always talk about self-care. Yes, we always talk about, good mental health and mental clarity and manifestation and mindfulness and things of that nature. But at a time such as this, when you're seeing a loved one making a huge transition, as Abby and I was talking earlier, you're having a 6'3" gentleman who's close to 400 pounds go from 6'3" to like 308. in a matter of 45 days. So that's a drastic change. And you're having to adapt as if things are still normal and navigate as if things are still normal. And the only thing that you can do is be on go mode, because if they're not slowing down, you can't slow down. So I would see Abby every day saying, "Hey, how are you doing today?" And what we call that is masking, because that's exactly what it is that you're masking. And because you can't necessarily go and ask your dad, "Tell me everything, like help me understand how I can help me understand so that I'm not worried." She didn't do that because what she's saying is it's not about me. So I can't figure out how to ask you how I can't be worried when the only thing you could be doing is worried about yourself. So Abby's going to be starting a New Life youth support group. So if you're a kid, and again, like she said, she was, late teens at that time. If a late teenager would be thinking these things, imagine what a 7-year old would be thinking, or like a preteen who's already going through a plethora of emotions and feelings. How do I manage these things? What are some good coping tools? And Abby, I'm gonna ask you, like, what do you feel would have been a better way to cope than to comfort yourself through food?
I would say talking to somebody that you trust, either you're a close family member, um, or a therapist. Just talk to somebody, get it out. Do not hold it in. But if you're blessed enough to have your parents or your loved ones still there, I would say talk to them. The person going through the cancer um, situation, but talk to somebody. I would say
Mm-hmm.
get it out.
Get it out. Again, do not hold those type of things. And emotions, they're heavy. Let me just put it like emotions are heavy. The burden from an emotion is sometimes unbearable. So the question that I would have to encourage people to ask themselves is, where can I take it off? And it's easier said than done, because sometimes when you think about carrying a burden, you have to understand that a burden is detachable. Let's put it like that. I can detach from this burden. I can detach from this emotion. Sometimes I have to if it's unhealthy for me. So when we're talking about expressing ourselves to our loved ones, I agree with Abby. It's time for us to really ask the questions and ask, when is it a good time to talk about it?
Or what I will say for different coping mechanisms, if you don't like to talk, find your passions. Make sure it's a healthy passion. Make sure it's a healthy habit. Um, if it's art, you like to draw, dance, sing, whatever it is, do it. Um, the different ways you can, work through your emotions. If it's anger, you could do boxing or different types of like sports to help you with that. Or talk to somebody like me. I'm here. Like she said, I'm going to be behind the support group for the youth. So I'm open to talking to all who are dealing with this type of situation. If it's from bullying, to cancer, to preteens, to teenage, whatever it is, I'm here.
Let me tell y'all something. She may be young in age, but she is a prayer warrior, okay? So if you go to newlife.com, there is a contact us section. Please utilize this format. Go to New Life, www.newlife, NEAULIFE.com. There is a contact us section on the website. Feel free to reach out to Miss Ebony there. Again, as she gets her social media platforms together, we'll be broadcasting this as well and publicizing this. But until that time, reach out to her. She's currently even in a prayer group. She's looking at going to maybe seminary school out here. I mean, but I just be listening, just listening. I don't know. But I mean, like right now, she's actually sitting in on some graduate level studies, and I've heard great things about it. I didn't tell you I knew that, did I? Yeah, I've heard some great things about you, Miss Abby. Yeah, I be checking on you, girl. So, and again, like even when I tell you like she's made great strides when we talk about coping tools and coping mechanisms. Again, there has been a drastic transition, a 180. I don't like to say 360 because 360 puts you back where you are. Remember that. So we're gonna do a 180 and turn around. So with that 180, Miss Abby now is like walking every day, like at least 3 to 5 days out of the week. Healthier choices with eating, like glow up is real, honey. Okay. So when I'm telling you that coping tools, healthy coping tools and mechanisms are important, we're saying this. So again, reach out to Miss Ebony, www.neaulife.com. And soon she's gonna be having some like her own contact information. Like we might need to, we don't know how this getting ready to blow up, y'all. This is a whole movement. Like we talk about like our entire movement, okay? And y'all know I'm animated. I'm trying not to have my animation show, but it's like it's a whole movement. So when we talk about new life, there's so many variations of it, not just from like Mr. Janu's perspective, which is woo, a journey in itself, but also from a caretaker's perspective, from a child's perspective, like from the youth of these individuals, like how do you deal with it? From a caretaker's perspective, how do you? Because there were some days, believe me, Miss Abby can attest, where you like, wait a minute, did you just? I know you cussed me out. I know you really went cussing. Like, was this a cussing conversational
My
moment?
God.
But there were some times in which you just had to be like, you know what? Let me just
walk away.
Like I think he just like, and I just have to just soldier up. Like, thank you. That was what soldier up. Okay. Anyway, that's another episode of New Life. We thank you so much for joining. Thank you, Miss Abby.
Thank you for having me.
All right.